ask about the Dolly Parton holdout, which was incredible.
Right? Yes.
Was that like a long time wish? Something that you guys have been trying to get in?
Was it a long time wish?
Well, if you're interested.
Having Dolly on, was it a long time wish?
Well, so the Dolly Parton references began fairly early.
Yeah.
We really took a gamble by writing her into the actual story, and without, I don't think, fully knowing whether she would do it.
There's definitely a little bit of a YOLO.
Seth worked his, he worked his magic, and she did it, and it was, could not have been. It was the hard part was keeping it a secret. We wanted it to be a surprise, and COVID helped us there because we shipped the set to Tennessee to film it with a skeleton crew. So it actually helped that it was filmed kind of in isolation. The word didn't get out.
Most of the crew on Dolly's side was Dolly's studio crew. Yeah, and they were the nicest people ever. But I think it was one of those things with a lot of wishful thinking and the sheer will of Seth. And Dolly's good. So it just worked out.
Turns out she likes science fiction.
Yes.
Makes you love her even more.
Yeah, exactly.
So much of your storylines are teased out over multiple episodes. How far in advance do you know where you're going with each of these characters?
The scripts are all written ahead of time. In the old days, we were flying by the seat of our pants. When I did Star Trek, we did 26 episodes a year, and we were writing as we filmed. Here, we write all the episodes ahead of time before we roll a single frame. And so we kind of know the landscape of the season. And it allows us to be more intricate in that way. We're not just making it up as we go along. So.
Are changes ever made, though, based on how something is starting to play out?
The writer?
Not really. No. I mean, very minor, but no. I mean, we've been getting a lot of questions about some of the episodes being so incredibly topical.
Yes.
Well, these episodes were written 2.5 years ago, and we haven't changed a word. It just so happened that by coincidence that these things were going on.
I'll expand on that. They're, and I'm not saying it because he's sitting right here. We have an amazing writing room, and we as the editors, production, don't necessarily have to get in and, we're very good at shaping performances, but in terms of shaping stories, it really is on the page. But we also are a sci-fi audience, so sometimes the more minutia-based stuff, like the mechanisms of time travel, or perhaps, just the time travel thing alone, I could go on to 20 other things. We listen, we hear, and there might be some debates and discussions, and never know, maybe a piece of ADR that might slip its way in, but as for the core of the story, no, that's all them. It's there from the beginning.
Can you talk about the music on the show? Because I love it. It's so cinematic and big, and I could just imagine the editors having fun and putting like 10 tracks of like John Williams and James Horner and giving the composers a lot to work with.
Oh, yeah.
That's.
I'll tell you. So actually, I'll condense this. So me and the editorial team, we do influences, but as of the late, we mostly use Orville score. Sometimes we're flipping some other stuff from James Horner and other things. But Seth is a human jukebox. Seth's musical breadth of knowledge is beyond anything we've ever seen. So he actually does a music pass. He takes our music and then takes his own music and does a music pass with the music editor. And that sort of becomes the shorthand, basically notes to the amazing composer we have. Like
The temp scores on this show are arable.
Yeah.
I mean, so much work goes just into the temp score.
Just into the temp
But then you
score.
get a composer coming in, and we don't reuse cues.
Not a frame.
Every single score is an original score for that episode by a full orchestra. 90-piece orchestra that Seth supervises himself, and it is a really important thing to him. And a tremendous, I'm glad you mentioned it. He would appreciate that. So much work goes into the score of the show.
And we're very blessed with our the composers, Andrew Cody, Kevin Pasca, John Debney, and of course Joel McNeely. I mean, those guys should be doing every single Star Wars Marvel movie that ever came along. So, my favorite part. Go into those sections is my favorite part.
This year, obviously, with all of these episodes being significantly longer than the previous season, has that felt different from an editor perspective, or just more freeing? Is it
No,
the way you're approaching it? We've said this before, is that we had to cut for time, and you're not using your full arsenal. You're not using your full ability. We have great actors, we have great writers, but if we have to cut everything out and pull it and just blow right through it, you don't really ever get to feel it. The reason that you're feeling the acting is so amazing, and you're connecting with these people, is we're letting them do their jobs. We can still cut jokes fast and do all that thing and make the battle whiz bang, but having the time to cut the story is the only way to do it.
I think what you're seeing in the move to Hulu and the new horizons of it all is really about the ability to do for stories to take the amount of time they need to take, and the reward of that is that you find yourself crying when you're watching the show. And I think that's the cumulative effect of all the changes that have been done. It's an investment in the characters, and it's a testament to the writing, the editing, and the acting, and all that. But I do believe that Seth's genius move to give the stories more breadth and depth has resulted in very powerful emotional moments you might not have gotten in a 43-minute running time.
It's one of those things where, once again, Seth was 4 steps ahead. He did it. We're here.